Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the City Council Urban Affairs Committee meeting to order. It is September 6th. We have two items on our agenda. We're going to take the first one, order number 23-18826, the application for a special permit from Rick Marino, trustee on behalf of Marlborough Realty Trust to expand a pre-existing non-conforming use pursuant to City Code Chapter 650 zoning, Section 12B, and the Marlborough Village District zoning at 1315 Mechanic Street. If you two would like to sit in the well, you're welcome to do that, so you don't have to, the chairs. That's fine. Just make sure that the lights on the microphones are lit so that everybody can hear you. And I can let you open with remarks if you have them. Otherwise, we'll just get into the draft special permit.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Attorney David Click on behalf of Marlborough Realty Trust. And with me tonight is Rick Marino, trustee of Marlborough Realty Trust, as well as Dave Markadon.
All right. Do you have any opening remarks? When we had a public hearing, I think everybody's pretty clear on what we're doing. I have some comments that I'm going to read into the record from managers, and then we can just begin. If that's okay with everybody?
Yeah.
All right. So we did receive comments from some of the managers. Kevin Green, the fire chief, John Garside, Board of Health, and David Georgie, the police chief, had no comments. Tin Tway, the building commissioner, had commented that the applicant shall maintain and provide access for 7 through 9 Mechanic Street right-of-way per approved recorded plans. And did you receive all of the comments, so you have them to add in if we need to? Or where?
Yes, Ms. Ruby, I did receive the comments.
Priscilla Ryder, the Conservation Sustainability Officer, mentioned for landscaping, as part of the site plan review submittal, additional planting may be required beyond that specified in the zoning code in order to improve the site appearance on this prominent and visible section of Mechanic and Main Street. And Thomas DePercio, Engineering, said, I reviewed the special permit decision for the application to make non-structural modifications to an existing garage at 1315 Mechanic Street and have no further comments. As noted in condition number 2, final details related to drainage, parking, landscaping will be reviewed and approved during site plan review committee's meetings. So our job at this point is to approve the special permit for Mr. Marino, and then you'll go back to site plan to finalize the actual building plans. So everybody should have a copy of the draft decision for the grant of the special permit. This is for Rick Marino, trustee of Marlborough Realty, and it is very specifically, the applicant proposes certain non-structural modifications to the pre-existing non-conforming garage, including improving the front facade, installing 2 garage doors along the side of the building, installation of a bathroom along with an equipment storage platform, and 3 automotive lifts, all within the existing structural envelope, in addition to a modification in the pre-existing non-conforming use at the site to strictly a general auto repair use, including but not limited to, and a whole slew of uses that I'm not going to go through all of them, but they are definitely included in the findings of facts. We do have all the information as I will just get onto page 4, which is really the conditions that the council is concerned with. Some of them are pretty typical. Number 1 is the construction in accordance with applicable laws. Number 2 is the site plan review. The issuance of the special permits further subject to detailed site plan review by the Site Plan Review Committee in accordance with the City of Marlborough Site Plan Review Ordinance prior to the issuance of the building permit. Any additional changes, alterations, modifications, or amendments as required during the process of site plan review shall be further conditions attached to the building permit, and no occupancy permit shall be issued until the applicant has complied with all conditions. Subsequent site plan review shall be consistent with the conditions of this special permit, and the plan submitted, reviewed, and approved by the City Council as a special permit granting authority. Site plan review shall consider, among other things, drainage, curbing, parking, construction of a retaining wall and a guardrail, along with signage and plantings. And I'm not sure if this is where it would be appropriate to add the additional language from Conservation regarding the landscaping, or if you had an opportunity to think of where it would go. There isn't really landscaping as a specific category anywhere in the conditions, so.
No, really, the extent of the landscaping was essentially captured within the rendering that we had provided to the city council on the night of our meeting.
Okay, because her language is that that submittal, additional planting may be required beyond that specified in the zoning code. I think her hope is that that section of Main Street, Mechanic Street, can be made a little nicer to look at, so.
And I would imagine, Madam Chair, that Rick would certainly be open to whatever recommendations that Conservation may have.
Okay, so
in
I'm
the
going to
event those
suggest
come
that
to
it go
light.
there, but this will have to go to the city solicitor, and he can decide if that's appropriate, if he wants a whole new number to get added, but it will be in here somewhere.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure of any specificity as to that landscaping, that's all.
And I would leave that to site plan review. I know they can get pretty specific for what's in the code, which you can find, and then they may want to add other things, but I know you were there for pre-approval or pre-meeting, and I think they liked what they saw, so.
Great, thank you.
Number 3 is the incorporation of submissions. It just states that all the plans, photo rendering, site evaluation briefs are all part of the application. Number 4 is the operation. All auto repair activities shall take place indoors. All loading and unloading shall take place within the site and not on Mechanic Street, and no deliveries of materials or equipment or shipments from the site shall be permitted on Sunday. The maximum hours for auto repair activities, excluding administrative and maintenance operations, and employees arriving and leaving before and after shifts shall be Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I would like to add, and I think this is probably a good place, I know that you have a Class 2 motor vehicle license from the license board for 2 vehicles at 19 Mechanic Street. So I would like language to be added in here that no sales of cars is allowed at this site.
That's fine.
Okay. Everybody else okay with that? Make sure that they're not adding into their numbers. Number 5 is lighting. Exterior lighting at the site shall be downward facing and shielded to minimize impacts of neighboring properties. Exterior lighting at the site shall be shut off outside of operating hours, except for lighting necessary for security and emergency access. Signs is signage at the site shall comply with the city sign ordinance, and any freestanding sign at the site's driveway entrance being substantially the same as the sign shown in the photo that's attached as attachment C. Number 7 is noise and air quality. The applicant shall comply with the city's noise ordinance and comply with state and federal requirements governing air quality and emissions. And number 8 is our standard recording of the decision. So I don't know if any counselors have anything else that they want to add or any questions on any of what's being proposed. Councilor Wagner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to revisit and bring it up during this meeting, that what I'm struggling with, and I appreciate this seems to be a well-loved business in town, and the people that showed up to speak positively of it was wonderful, but for me, it comes down to zoning. This is an area that the zoning, was it 2014, that automotive is not allowed in this area, and this business continued because it's pre-existing. But then it feels like, well, what are we doing? So we had this vision, we changed the zoning, but now we're saying, well, in this case, it's substantially going to increase the business in this location. So is that, I feel like it sends a mixed message to others who have invested in the downtown area for what the promise of what this is, development is, what direction it's going to go in, and we're saying, oh, actually, we're not going to, that's not going to apply in this case. So I'm struggling with the impact the decision overall and the impact it's going to have, this is a significant change. So are we doing automotive? Are we going to end up rezoning and say more automotive? I have a problem with the whole premise and would love to hear from our fellow committee members.
I know I can talk for myself. You're right, this is a decision that the city council can make or not make. We did rezone and made automotive not allowed in Marlborough Village, but I think the issue where we rezone anywhere in the city and there's pre-existing non-conforming, we like to look at the property. If we don't like what they want to do, we can say no, and we have done that. If we are okay with it, then I think we have that ability. We also have the ability to say, I'm sorry, but we really want downtown to not have automotive, and at some point your shop may close and we're not going to let you. I mean, that's an individual decision. So.
If I may, Madam Chair, so I would start off just by reiterating what was discussed at our city council meeting previously. So this came under an application under the 650 section 12B as a pre-existing non-conforming use for auto repair, where if you remember it was agreed upon by the building inspector as well as with Mr. Marino that this had previously been within, to some degree, 3 buckets, whether it be for some commercial or other commercial window replacement, window repair, residential replacement repair, but then auto repair in terms of windshield replacement, windshield installation, and as well as sunroof installation. That had carried on for years. The property had been taxed as auto repair and auto use since sometime into the, I believe it was the early 80s. It had continued on beyond 2014 in this use. There's no one arguing that it was ever abandoned. This is just a continuation of what was previously a use there at the site. I then would further say that with regards to the use, there won't be this substantial expansion. All we're here to do is to essentially keep the same structural footprint. We're just making modifications to the footprint, and the property itself or the structure itself will essentially be commensurate or will essentially be an expansion of what's next door is auto repair at Professional Automotive at 19 Mechanic Street. So that's already there. But with regards to this property, one of the things in terms of that expansion and one of the things that we wanted to discuss, or at least was, in my experience, is always a concern when you have any sort of use along a roadway such as this, is what's the traffic going to be like? So one of the important things that we had discussed at the time that we were looking at what the use would be is, all right, well, what will be the daily if it even is at a full capacity? And as you can see from the ongoing business that's conducted at Professional Automotive, it is essentially not requested, but it is for the most part that the clientele, the patrons, will drop off their vehicles and will not be staying there waiting for the vehicles to be repaired. And it's also based off of how many vehicles can be cycled through within a period of time. So at no period of time, and this is what we had discussed before, at no period of time will there be an overage or any sort of backup or any concerns that the council may have concerning traffic. As you can see in the site plan now, there's right now 8 parking spaces right in the front. Ultimately, an identified handicap space will be brought in, but there are 7 spaces. There's also 3 bays. So if there isn't any given period of time at essentially max capacity, if there's 7 cars, there's still ample parking. So the traffic should not be an issue.
No, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think the issue that Councilor Wagner's bringing up is the fact that regardless of what it used to be, it currently is zoned that there's no automotive use in the Marlborough Village District. So the existing property and the desire to do something new requires this you need to have the special permit. We don't have to approve it. we can say, no, we don't want to allow the expansion, and that'll be up to the vote of the council. When it gets to the council, it'll be up to the committee what we recommend. And I believe Councilor Doucette had his hand up, so I'm going to go to him next, and then I'll get over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is, it's an existing non-conforming garage. Obviously, you had demonstrated in the public hearing the support of the community, okay, and I give you great credit for that. If on the other hand, you're trying to do this and the response from the community was crickets, we'd have a different conversation right now. I think that the response from the community, and as well as basically, you're expanding your business by taking over an existing business spot that was doing similar work. So from the logistics perspective, you're providing a growth opportunity for your own business in that corner. The question is, more longer term, if at some point you find yourself, 10, 20 years from now, the business has gone from the other direction, if it gets abandoned, it may not come back, because it's a non-conforming existing condition. If you guys, heaven forbid.
If it was
abandoned.
Yeah.
If it was abandoned for 2 years, we can definitely
We
go.
understand that, that's part of the law, yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect that to happen, just to be clear.
So-
But, that's just, the non-conforming pre-existing ends at that point.
Right.
Until then, I feel that there's an agreement that was made with the prior businesses when a zoning changes, that we respect your business, but if you decide to move to some other part of Marlborough, because you find a better deal for your, to put your business, someone else may not be able to move in there for a business, to do an automotive deal.
And I think
But those are the type of scenarios.
Sure.
Laura was asking, what's the opinion? This is how I see it, is, you guys have really shown good support from the community and benefit for the community overall. That's fine for now. Who knows what the future will bring? But I think at this point, we can get through this situation, this expansion, and see how your business goes from there.
So can I make a comment, Councilor Doucette and Councilwoman Wagner? Basically, my building that I have been in for 30 years is pre-existing non-conforming. So in 1997, when I bought that building, it was already pre-existing non-conforming. So it did not exist it could not normally exist at that point in time. But the gentleman that was in there before was an auto repair use, and the prior tenant even before him was an auto repair use, going way back before the 50s, okay? So this zoning, the Marlborough Village District zoning, wasn't even thought of here at that time. So, and I knew that because I was in the auto repair business, I was able to purchase that property, and because I was continuing that use, here I am 30 years later, still legally able to continue that use because it's grandfathered and it's pre-existing non-conforming. That's why I've been able to do that for the last 30 years. I know she seems to have an issue with that, but this particular property, let me just finish. When a property is rezoned, okay, if there was a prior use there, the new zone, and you continue the use, if you look at the legality, as long as the use is going to be the same, then there's protection from the law of being grandfathered as long as it's pre-existing non-conforming. If it is abandoned for 2 years, okay, and then you can no longer do that use, the Marlborough Village zoning would take place and no auto repair would be able to be done there. So I don't know if you're understanding of that or not.
I believe the city council is all understanding. I think maybe you're misunderstanding the fact that the building that's there was not automotive repair. No matter what you want to say, they might have done glass work in an automobile, but it's not automobile repair, which is not allowed under the Marlborough Village District. So for us to grant this special permit for a pre-existing non-conforming building is the decision that we have to make, because you're going to turn what was a glass repair shop into an auto repair shop. And that's the concern of Councilor Wagner and maybe others. And we go around the room and hear comments from Councilor Nabin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the back and forth, although I think we probably have gotten down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. And, Councilor Wagner's points are well-founded. I think, we did change the zoning and we did change it to not allow automotive, and I would agree with that for what goes forward. I don't think anybody wants Main Street to turn into Maple Street. That said, you have a very successful business, as has been noted, with support from the community, as you demonstrated very well. And so I think that having an existing business on Main Street, that it brings a diversity to Main Street. Having one of these businesses on Main Street is something that we could use. We do not have a huge diversity of businesses on Main Street, something that I think a lot of us hear quite frequently. So, I would not be supportive of allowing this use in the district. Right? We're talking about changes to the zoning district to try and improve the vision that what we want to see downtown. That's not something I would want to see. That said, I think that what you have and what you have proposed is a benefit to Main Street. I think the improvements will certainly help that corner improve as you go from Main to Mechanic. And I think that's something that we, my personal opinion is that the city would benefit from seeing. And one point I think I do want to address, because Councilor Wagner did ask, for folks' opinion on, what other people think for the investment. I would just say that, people who are already investing in downtown, who have already had, the interaction with your business, who have also seen, they knew you were here. It's not like you guys decided to purchase it and then all of a sudden it was a surprise you're here. You're just kind of trying to expand it a little bit. So, I don't think that that's coming as a surprise or a detriment to folks. So I don't have any concerns with you continuing on and, expanding to hopefully, be able to improve the current business you're doing, kind of improve some of the space constraints that you have. I think will also improve the aesthetic. So that is my take on how we would approach that moving forward. Thank you.
Anybody else with comments? Councilor Landers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quite honestly, I was pretty impressed with the gathering that night, but even before they spoke, I had my ideas. I thought your renderings looked good. I'm quite familiar with that area because I was a frequent flyer when it was Allen's Glass, But what I saw, your rendering, your drawings, we get rid of that old pine, what the hell was it, palm tree to the right there. That has to go. But, I know it'll be attractive. It's not going to be a situation like I've seen in surrounding towns. You're not going to have old transmissions in the front yard. You're not going to have used tires stacked up. So it's not that type of situation. Now, if we were talking about taking the Victoria building or the parking lot and make that a repair shop or a used car lot or something, I think I'd agree with Councilor Wagner. But you're taking a building. See, I'm not sure what else you'd get in there. It's kind of a narrow building. It's not much there. So I think it's a good matchup. I think I mentioned in my comments the night of the public hearing, I'm always looking for curb appeal. And I know with your drawings and what you're going to do there, it's going to be attractive. It isn't going to be a mansion, but it's going to be and we're forgetting it's going to be a very functional area, and we're serving the people in Marlborough. Just the number of people we had there that night. Some of the people that drop off their cars, they might go across to the House of Pizza, or might it's just part of downtown, and so quite honestly, Madam Chair, I'm supportive of this. Appreciate it.
Councilor Irish?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was back many years ago. We were on the council together working on the Marlborough Village zoning, and certainly having a philosophy and approach to zoning. I believe you're looking at what's the best use for this area, and agreeing with Councilor Landers as well. Part of that approach to zoning is seeing what the best use is. So I would certainly be going forward, and I would welcome that in the neighborhood as well, to see that. And I know you've certainly been in business many years, and obviously during the public hearing, so I would certainly be in support of that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, so I've got a few comments being thrown at me. I just want to go back over and review. I know I read through the manager's comments. I just want to make sure that somewhere in this will be added the language from the building commissioner that the applicant shall maintain and provide access for 7 to 9 Mechanic Street right-of-way per approved recorded plans. So that will be added somewhere in this document. I would also like to add, I know in operations I read through, you are going to be open from Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If we can add something that said there will be no hours of operation on Sunday, just so that it is clear you are not open on Sunday, and that there will be no outdoor storage on this property.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I guess between essentially paragraph 3 and 4, we could put in a paragraph 4 access to address the building inspector's comments.
Okay. I'll make sure that the solicitor has all of the comments so that he knows what to add in, and he'll figure out where exactly he wants it to go. Are there any other things that people might have? Councilor Wagner?
2 additional points to think about as we're going through this. For me, it's always important to step back and think policy and not person. So right now, I do really see this as an excellent business owner. You take good care of it. You're going to do, but what if, if this person leaves tomorrow and it's sold to somebody different, it could be a very different looking. So we're approving an automotive place here, not just this person. Things don't stay forever. So automotive is being allowed to expand at this central area, entrance to the community, entrance to downtown. And I get that the footprint's not changing, but there weren't lifts in there before. There weren't air guns going all day long. There isn't everything that goes with automotive repair. It's going to be significantly different business. There was at least one neighbor I know that wrote a letter that was not happy about this change, so that needs to be remembered. And the taxes, I just for the record need to keeps being brought up as the taxes over they were paying for automotive. It's commercial or residential. It's not a salient point for me, how it was classified. So the lesson in grandfathered in, it doesn't, I think we have to step back from who the business owner is and think about the impact of having an expanded automotive business right at the beginning of Main Street.
Anybody else with comments? Anybody else would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve?
I will restate that to approve as amended.
As amended. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. So
I will second that, Madam Chair.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the draft decision, grant of special permit as amended. Is there further discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? And we have 1. So this will be reported out at Monday's meeting. It will be, I'll ask for a suspension to have it referred to the solicitor. Hopefully the solicitor can get this through to be on our September 18th meeting. If not, it'll be on the October 2nd meeting, and then it'll be before the full council for a vote. So you're welcome to come to the next meeting, but I don't really see a reason to do so, but you should look for, if you want, to come the night that it's on the agenda.
And Madam Chair, for September, did you say 19th?
The 18th.
September 18th.
We have back-to-back meetings, so our next meeting is on Monday, September 11th. I'll ask for suspension to have it referred to the solicitor. If he can get the paperwork done and be back on our agenda for the 18th, then we'll take it up at that point.
Counselor, is that for a second urban affairs meeting, or is that the public?
That's for the
Right.
council to take its vote. This will require 6 votes, so I will report out the recommendation of the council. The rest of the committee has the right to make comments if they weren't here at this meeting, or not make comments, and then we'll take a vote. Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we will continue with our second item on the agenda, which is order number 23-108-939, the application for a special permit from George Voriatsis to convert an existing structure into a multifamily residential building consisting of 17 units in the neighborhood business zoning district at 358 Lincoln Street. And we have Attorney Falk and Mr. Voriatsis with us, and as usual, Attorney Falk has done his homework and has given us a new copy of the draft permit, including the comments from the managers. I will read those quickly just so everybody is aware of them. Mr. Tway, the building commissioner, Mr. Garside, Board of Health, and Jeffrey Emanuelson, the assistant fire chief, all had no comment. David Georgie, the police chief, stated the discussion on this project at site plan answered my concerns about possible parking issues. As required, there are 32 spaces for the 17 units. As we also discussed, I would suggest adding some additional plantings or fencings along the easterly side near 342 Lincoln Street to help mitigate any privacy issues for the new tenants. The edge of the building and adjacent parking lot are pretty close. Priscilla Ryder, the Conservation Sustainability Officer, stated, "My only comment is the same as Chief Georgie regarding screening. I suggest a condition be added, landscaping and screening. So the Site Plan Review Committee shall review the landscaping and screening and shall be authorized to require additional fencing or landscaping as needed to provide appropriate buffers and screening for the adjacent properties and future residents of this project." And Thomas DePercio, the city engineer, recommends the following additional language to the end of Condition 6, landscape easement over 31 Gay Street. The landscaping shown on the approved site plan within this easement area shall be maintained in perpetuity as part of the 358 Lincoln Street property maintenance, as noted in condition number 2. Final details related to drainage, parking, landscaping will be reviewed and approved during site plan review. So I don't know if, Attorney Falk, if you have any opening comments, or you just want to get into a special permit.
Sure, happy to review the draft decision, and just noting that the red line, I think everybody should have a copy of, that I sent over this afternoon. There's a new condition 6, which captures Chief Georgie's and Priscilla Ryder's requested condition regarding landscaping and screening. And then we have what is now the new condition 7 regarding the landscaping easement over 31 Gay Street, which has the additional sentence that Tom DePercio had requested.
And thank you very much for adding those in. So I will just start with the decision of the special permit. Again, this is for 358 Lincoln Street in the neighborhood business zoning district. The finding of facts, we have the applicant. We submitted certified list of abutters, the filing fees. We had a public hearing. You've got that information. You do have that Tiona Brown had filed her written certification so that she's able to vote. And we'll just get into page 3, the conditions. So number 1 is construction in accordance with applicable laws.
Madam Chair?
I'm sorry, Councilor Doucette?
Thank you very much. Just findings and take the following actions. Item C at the top of page 3, city finds that the floor and ground area of the pre-existing non-conforming building is not enlarged by more than 24% as part of the use. You guys are adding a floor to the building, right?
We are, yes.
Okay, and that's still going to maintain under 25%. I didn't do the math. I'm assuming you guys presented it, so that's a big enough lift. I just want to make sure it's within the 25% boundary with that. Okay, just wanted that on record. Thank you very much.
All right. So the construction, it's pretty standard language. Construction of all structures is in accordance with applicable building codes and zoning regulations. Number 2 is site plan review. Again, the issuance of the special permit is further subject to detailed site plan review by the Site Plan Review Committee in accordance with the City of Marlborough prior to the issuance of a building permit. Any additional changes, alterations, modifications, or amendments as required during the process of site plan review shall be further condition attached to the building permit. Number 3 is the modification of the plans. Notwithstanding conditions 1 and 2 above, the Site Plan Review Committee may approve minor amendments to the plans so long as said changes do not materially increase the impervious area of the use, alter traffic flow, or materially increase the size of the building or increase the number of residential units as shown on the plans. Number 4 is the incorporation of submissions. So again, all the plans, photo renderings, site evaluations is all part of the application and part of this record. Number 5, stormwater and erosion control management. The applicant shall ensure that its site superintendent during construction of the project is competent in stormwater and erosion control management. This individual's credentials shall be acceptable to the engineering division of the city's Department of Public Works and the city's Conservation Commission. This individual shall be responsible for checking the site before, during, and after storm events, including weekends and evenings when storms are predicted. This individual shall ensure that no untreated stormwater leaves the site consistent with the state's and the city's stormwater regulations. This individual shall ensure compliance with the approved sequence of construction plan and the approved erosion control plan. The applicant shall grant this individual complete authority of the site as it relates to stormwater and erosion controls. Number 6 is a new landscaping and screening as part of the site plan review. Site Plan Review Committee shall review the site's landscaping and screening and shall be authorized to require additional fencing or landscaping as needed to provide appropriate buffers and screening for the adjacent properties and future residents of the site. Number 7, landscaping easement over 31 Gay Street. Prior to the issuance of a building permit for the use, the applicant shall obtain and have recorded with the Middlesex South District Registry of Deeds a permanent landscaping easement over a portion of the abutting property located at 31 Gay Street as shown on the plans. The landscaping shown on the approved site plan within this easement area shall be maintained in perpetuity as part of the 358 Lincoln Street property maintenance. Number 8 is lighting. The exterior lighting is downward facing and shielded to minimize impacts on the neighboring properties. And a lighting plan for the site is to be reviewed and further conditioned during site plan review. Number 9, electric utilities. The use shall have all electric utilities, including heat, air conditioning, and hot water, which I'm sure this council is happy to hear. Number 10, compliance with the applicable laws. The applicant shall comply with all municipal, state, and federal rules. And number 11 is that standard recording of decision. Are there any questions, comments, anything that was missed? Anything you want to add, Councilor Doucette?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just want to say in the presentation of this project and the work you guys in putting this together, you guys did a great job presenting the package, putting it through the process, having this with all the corrections for tonight's meeting. Thank you, Brian. But I think this is a great opportunity to turn an eyesore into a real gem in the community. So, thank you.
Anybody else with comments? Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just a little bit more on that. George, thank you. A lot of times we have proponents come in here and talk about a lot of the things that they're going to do and, how great they are and how much benefit it's going to come to the city. And you kind of read off a laundry list of your investment that we've had here. And I believe one of the people who spoke in favor, talked about the development. And a lot of people who are probably here and are watching at home remember Town Paint and remember what Main Street was like, when that was there. And you put quite a bit of investment in and really turned that area around. And I'm grateful and excited that you are looking to do the same thing in a corridor that needs it and is starting to get it. We have really kind of approved some projects that you know, if anyone's driven down Lincoln Street right now and they're looking at the corner of Lincoln and Mechanic, they're looking at a giant hole in the ground in a construction area. And a couple weeks ago, they were looking at a lake after all the rain we had. You know, these are transformational projects that are really going to reshape a part of our city. And there are only a couple of projects that could be done to do it. I believe that Lincoln and Mechanic, that only this project would have actually been able to get off the ground. And just I want to thank you for spending the time to look at how you could fix the Armory, because it is a beautiful building and it is a challenging build, and I wish you a lot of luck. I can only imagine the headaches you're dealing with on a daily basis, but appreciate you making another investment in our community, and look forward to welcoming you at some point as a resident as well. So that's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Landers?
Just a quick one. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said, well, only George could do it after 30 years of being at Bacon. But I think it's the beginning, Madam Chair, you know, between that project, Collins's funeral home looks good. We got the other project at Mechanic and Lincoln further down. It's gonna, you're gonna be the envy of the city, because Lincoln Street is gonna be what we want it to be. And I got to thank you and the other developers there. So good luck, George, and thanks.
Thank you.
And I have to echo those comments. I think everybody on the council is excited about seeing that building turned into at least what your drawings look like, and a super major improvement over what's there now. So, Councilor Wagner.
Thank you. Yes, it is a beautiful, really creative project. Thank you. My question has to do with the energy use. I'm very excited to hear that it's going to be all electric, but can you say more about, are you going to use heat pumps? Like, how is that design going to work? And dovetailing with that, what are your thoughts on the energy efficiency envelope for the building itself? So like windows, is that something, a standard that you're looking at, so it's the most efficient with not losing heating and cooling in addition to the energy needed to heat and cool the space?
Yes to all of those questions. We do have some constraints because of the brick. Definitely going to meet and exceed code. Windows are we're going to go with same thing, exceeding code. The heat, right now, I actually got an email from Councilor Doucette regarding geothermal, which I love. You know, I was introduced to it in the mid-90s when I was at Cornell. They were tapping into the Finger Lakes to heat and cool efficiently the college. And that right now, it's not sure it's applicable. I'm looking to see if it is applicable. But one thing that I know that I have already spec'd out, it may change, but in the worst case scenario, which also looks good, we have state-of-the-art heat pumps that can take heat out of the air, and the air can be at minus 17 degrees Fahrenheit. That technology did not exist 10 years ago. So actually tested these on Gay Street. And that cold snap that we had in February, that really where all the property managers were running around with broken pipes, every tenant there was comfortable on Gay Street. So but you're always looking to do better, and we'll continue that.
Thank you.
And I know you did get asked at the public hearing about solar panels. Have you been able to think on that anymore, or is that?
I think that, you know, we want to at least pre-wire for solar panels and see, you know, once we get the approvals, conditions, and just budgeting is always a moving target. So we just have to make sure that we can produce this building that we're all proud of. And the life cycle of the building, when we add solar panels, you know, we're in it for the long haul. So yeah, that'd be great to do that.
And I see Councilor Perlman's hand.
Thank you, Chair Roby, and I want to echo the same comments that everyone else. I think it's really exciting to see this project moving forward. Certainly, it's an area I drive by constantly and was always like, what will happen to this place? And it's nice to know that you're investing so much in it. My question is really around like the timeline. I know you mentioned at the public hearing how much rehab is really needed and that the building itself is really going to be a facade because the inside is going to need so much uplift, and some of the projects that were mentioned earlier that are already moving, and just concerns around the traffic and congestion in that area and what the timeline might look like to put a project like this in motion. If you kind of speak to what the staging would look like to move forward on this, I think would be helpful.
Because of the parking lot area that's adjacent to the building, that would be used primarily for staging. And I don't see any impact on Lincoln Street or traffic at all. When vehicles exit and enter, but minimal impact for the duration of the project, which should be about 18 months of construction, hopefully less.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can imagine it'll take a long time to get that moving. And is that something that you're looking at, kind of the timeline of the other projects, to kind of have it match up a certain way, or once, if this gets approved, to move forward with once all the permits are moved forward, that you would do so?
All the permits are approved, I'll look at we'll create a Gantt chart, which, compresses the schedule and makes an efficient overlaps and has critical points, and see what we can do, because nobody likes to look at construction. It's nice to get it done as soon as possible, but to do it right as well, not just to rush through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love the mention of a good Gantt chart, so
yeah.
I appreciate you bringing that into the space, and excited to see us move forward. I just wanted to make sure, I know it came up in some of the other public hearings around, the excitement for the project, and then also just thinking about how long it might take to move forward, but I thought the design looked really great. I know I did receive a comment from a resident about the upper floor, and if that could look maybe a little less futuristic, but I know it's sort of difficult given, wanting to have that additional floor, and so that's something that I'm sure from, far away will look great, and I'm excited to see it move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would there be a need for you to do any construction on Mechanic Street, to tear it up to connect sewer, water, electricity, nothing? So you won't really impact the flow of traffic going up or down Mechanic Street?
Already inspected the sewer line that's exiting the building. It's in perfect condition.
All right, that sounds good.
One of the only things in that building.
Any other questions? Councillor Irish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a comment. Very excited to see this project moving forward, echoing everyone on the council. It started with, part of revitalizing Lincoln Street, rezoning, getting the Mass Works grant, working with MEDC, being a team in the council, having this vision for Lincoln Street. It is very positive, and I'm in full support, and it's been many years overdue, and I do certainly wish you a lot of luck and success with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, does anybody have anything further? Any motions from anybody?
Motion to approve order number 23-1008-939.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the special permit as amended. Is there further discussion? All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, which means nobody is opposed. So again, I will report this out at Monday's meeting, September 11th. I will ask for a suspension to get this to the solicitor so it can be checked, make sure it's in proper form. Hopefully he can get it on the 18th agenda, and it'll be up to the council for the approval at that date. If not the 18th, then it'll be October 2nd. We don't like to rush the solicitor, but we cross our fingers and ask nicely.
Motion to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are adjourned at 8:18.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.